Well, I think what I try and do, and A.A.F.H.A tries to do, is to really educate the younger people today. Not just kids of, say, 10 or 11 or teenagers, but I guess what I would call kids of, or young adults between the ages of 20 and 40 who never were in the draft, never were in the Army. And we try and make them appreciate what the veterans of World War II did for us. Basically giving us our freedoms that we have today, because without them, if we hadn't gone to war, if we hadn't stopped Hitler, we would all be under the oppression of a despotic dictator. Hitler, possibly Joe Stalin, or amongst a bunch of others. So I think that's what A.A.F.H.A has to offer to the youth of today and to the people that do come to air shows. We must educate the younger people.
Would have been sent to this young man's mother in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. This is an original package, and you can see on there where it was soldier's postage. There was no postage on there, just soldier's mail, and it would have his address and an address sent to his mother. This, of course, is burlap, and it's just wrapped and sent to his mother just like that.
We now have over 40, and they include more than the interview and more than the photographs. We always put in a map, and some of the men have written stories. Bill and Van both have written stories that pertain to their service in the Air Corps. We put those in. Sometimes a combat diary or letters that were written home. Each of these booklets is that particular veteran's World War II history.
Working on the engine was this big bear of a man, quite a bit older than me, who I assumed was the crew chief. So I introduced myself. Hi there, Sergeant, I'm Lieutenant Bauer, and this here, they tell me, is my plane. Well, he looks at me with the bad end of a cigar sticking out of his mouth and makes like I'm not there. And I says again, hey, Sergeant, I'm Lieutenant Bauer, and they tell me that...
Yeah, I heard you the first time. Jesus, another college boy they send me. Still wet behind the ears. Well, you listen here, college boy, and let's get this straight. This here ain't your airplane. It's mine. I'm just gonna let you borrow it, see? And best you take good care of it and don't let any Nazis shoot any holes through it. Otherwise, there's gonna be hell to pay with me. Oh yeah, and one more thing, college boy. The first time you tangle with the Hun, don't go soiling your pants because I ain't gonna clean it up when you get back. That is, if you get back.
Just as it used to give you real help right on the job, chewing gum can help our boys during actual combat. That's why Wrigley's total production of double mint chewing gum now goes to those men overseas who are fighting. Even so, they aren't getting nearly enough to fill all their needs, because today's total production is a lot less gum than it was back in peacetime. Now, we're not forgetting that you're missing Double Mint's cool, refreshing, real mint flavor these days, missing the help Double Mint used to give you on the job. As you know from experience, chewing Double Mint makes work go along a bit smoother, keeps you from getting thirsty quite so often, helps to ease the tension of a nerve-wracking task. But our fighting men need Double Mint so much more. They are getting every stick. So you see, no more of those familiar green packages for sale in this country until Wrigley can again make enough Double Mint for everybody and make it to the same high standards of quality.
A couple of women came through 2 years ago, and I was explaining the bomb sight and how it works, and I started to talk about the fact that the crosshairs in the bomb sight, they had a lot of trouble with getting a material that the crosshairs would work perfectly from hot deserts to 50 degrees below zero in altitude. And I started talking about this to this woman, and she says, "You don't have to tell me about that." She says, "I put them in the bomb sights." She says, "Right at this airport, at Spats Field here in Reading." And she said once they installed them, she had to go up in the plane to see that they were in the right position and working right. So I thought that was a little extraordinary. You don't expect to find somebody like that.
I get an opportunity to talk to people who were there back then and get an idea of what life was like for those involved in the effort to win the war. Because, like I said before, my dad didn't do much talking about him. He's gone now, so I won't get any answers from him. So the only place I'm going to get answers is by asking questions of the veterans and the survivors who are left. It's the only way to find out. Yeah, and it gives me a sense of history also, and that makes me realize that freedom isn't free.
I was always interested in the Second World War. And when I found A.A.F.H.A, I found that, I'm not going to say that the history books are wrong and what I learned in school was wrong, but it fine-tuned it for me. You know, I'm standing next to people that saved my life before I was even born. You know, these are the heroes. These are the people I think that should be recognized, that should be taken care of for the rest of their life. And everybody that's in this organization is genuine. Nobody has an attitude. Nobody's better than anybody else. We're all equal. And, you know, I was learning about things, and I went to these guys, and they just took me in as if I was their son. They showed me everything. They told me everything. I still ask questions now. That's what A.A.F.H.A is all about. Brothers, sisters, getting along, learning. That's it, babe. First of all, the whole weekend is like you're in the Twilight Zone. And as soon as you come through the gates, it's like you're going back into time 50, 60 years. And when you see the people, and you see people dressed, even the civilians are dressed like it was 50 years ago. Tip your hat, how you doing, ma'am, sir, you salute, how you doing? But last night at the dance, when everybody was dancing with each other, one side of the room was the Americans, the other side of the room was the Germans. And everybody's singing, trying to get over on each other. And after a while, you thought the whole roof was going to blow off. It was great. I loved it. I couldn't beat that for the world.
There were questions Here at Reading, I always experience emotions when I'm next to the World War II planes that we serviced just before the end of the war in First Germany at the airfield, because the American liberators, when they liberated us, they allowed us to work at the airfield to service the airplanes after the missions. And in those days, they were missions of opportunity because the war was winding down. So we used to come in after the missions and clean the plane, clean the oil, clean whatever we could, shine up, and do some remedial jobs. And every time I'm next to the airplane, all the memories is I went into the Army for 3 years to become a citizen. And I spent 3 years in the service. And I've had marvelous time. I'm thankful that I did go. I'm thankful to the country that I've gained profession, and the America gave me life that I always dreamed of.
More patriotic. I would truthfully say that. Being married to this man is more patriotic, and I was born and raised here. And it's a different experience. But when we come here and you hear the stories from the people, the spectators stop by, and they start to talk to you, and they tell you about their grandparents or their fathers. I wish I could have known, I wish I would have seen. But had I known, life's too short.
See, I've lived under communism, under Stalin, and I thought that he was God.
There you are.
Even though we were all atheists at that time. Then when the Germans invaded us, I lived under Hitler and almost got drafted into the Hitler Youth movement. Even now I remember the German Hitler Youth songs. It was that far away. And then when the Americans liberated us, I've had something to compare. And I've chosen this life. And I'm glad that I did.